But if the real goal is to make that person feel like they've been heard, I mean, I hate to be so cold about it, but let's just say it's irrelevant, it's disqualified, but this person is important and they should be heard and seen. Like, I think that's the most extreme example where you're like, this is actually nonsense, but it's important to them. I think it's the rarest, but like, I try to use empathy. I try to verify that I completely see where they see my mistakes, and I don't give any excuses. Yes, I definitely was late, and it seems like this has really upset you for good reason. And then shutting the front door. Often it is impossible for us to say someone's circumstance, especially if it involves us, and it feels even a little bit bad without giving a justifier or an excuse or some way of touching that scale. It is amazing if you just lay your soul on the table. Don't give excuses, don't give reasons. Also, don't jump on the pity potty, because I suck is also a detractor from it. But just merely, regurgitating all of their complaints back to you, re-emphasizing the negative emotions that it felt. And for the most part, people feel really good to be heard. Most of the time, you can take that criticism and apply it to maybe improve your process or your practices. But sometimes people just don't like the way you did something, and there's nothing you can do about it. So all you can really do is they know that they've been heard and that you're not trying to excuse the actions. They feel like you actually understand what they went through. And for a lot of people, that's enough, because then the apology, you can actually say, I'm sorry. And they actually believe you because they believe that you understand where they're coming from. That's my best advice.
No, I like that approach, where it's the active listening is really key in the criticism. But like I know criticism can be a bad word, right? Like, oh, like you're being too critical. Like, don't give me that criticism. Just give me advice. And it's like, criticism can be good. It can be very constructive in the right relationship. And I think you're right that there are often times when it's just like, I need this moment to be seen. Like, this did happen, and I need to move on from it by it being seen by not just me. Like, I got to experience it and I need to move on, which is often usually all anybody wants. If something you can't go back and there's just some things you can't go back and fix. Like, if there's a miscommunication, you can say that I sorry that happened. I didn't mean this. I can see how frustrating that could be, and then you move on. And they see that you okay, you understood that the communication was really important to them.
And I also, at the same time, do your best not to be defensive of the situation. To accept it as a way to improve going forward, and something you take into consideration should other instances occur, and trying to avoid repeat situations with other clients.
Exactly. Like the follow through, with that. You did hear them, you did take it seriously. It's not just like, oh yeah, sure, sorry, blah, 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 move on. Right. It doesn't feel very respectful when that happens. Go ahead, Tristan.
It'll probably sound like I'm being overly critical. I would never say I see what someone's saying, because I have in no way, shape, or form demonstrated it. I would say, it looks like when I didn't email you when I said I did, it really upset you, and it looks like it actually really messed up your timeline. And then I shut up, because again, and if you say anything, it's immediately defensiveless. Anything else I'm saying from here is why, and why is saying it's not my fault. The why should be removed, but like even the I hear you, or I see where you're coming from, or I understand. No, I did this. You felt this way, and this happened next. People just don't hear that. In their entire lives, it's never that. It's always either I didn't, it wasn't this, and if they do say what it is, it's not my fault because. But then I also switch to how questions. Like, so how do we do this better next time? Like, no what's, no whys, just let me hear how they want it solved. I might not be able to do it, but at least we actually know their solution. Once they feel heard, how would be a better way of going about this?
Right.
Or what I like, how am I supposed to do that? Honest to God, how am I supposed to do that is the most powerful no without saying it, because you're forcing someone to think of they complained and they haven't thought about the logistical, operational changes of actually serving the request in their venting. And when you ask, how am I supposed to do that? Remember, they're under the baseline of what their mad is and what this imaginary fix is that they don't have to do anything. This make them happy fix. But when they're like, oh, wow, I don't think I would do that either. I think that would be a lot to, like, people are very rational once they feel heard and it's been demonstrated. How am I supposed to do that has gotten me out a lot of work that I did not want to volunteer for because they reasonably couldn't have asked me to do it. But if I had volunteered it, they would have said yes, and I probably wouldn't have done it all. And now I'm in this apology cycle again, verifying how I messed up. By the way, it doesn't feel good. It doesn't feel good saying what you did wrong and not writing it off. You pay amends for this process. It's not free. You have to eat it. You have to eat it like that is what it tastes like. Okay.
Joe, I feel like you'd have some perspective on this. Because you like to think kind of big picture relational type perspectives. Is this something you feel like talking about at the moment?
Sure, Audrey. I would love to talk about that. Criticism. It's also interesting because when we talk about criticism, we're talking about, duality. And so it's either good or it's bad. It's black or it's white, peanut butter or jelly, right? And I think it's an interesting thing because it's almost always where the issue lies is difficulty at the beginning. And what ends up happening is people end up thinking far more deeply into it than they think clearly about it. So they didn't have a clear understanding of what the issue was. And then we dive deep into the problem of criticism. And that's where we get into kind of that brutal criticism. You know what I mean? Where people they're not just like side dishing you. They're really, they're saying some things. I remember one time I had this sale. It was like $250,000 for USA Today, at least. And it was like done. Right. And I got to the guy that actually made the decision, and his criticism of me was he didn't like the color of my tie, and that tanked the entire sale, right? The entire sale. And I was like, what did I do wrong? What's wrong with me? I thought about that sale forever. And I was a little bit younger. I don't think that way anymore, but it drove me crazy because I had done everything right. I'd lined up with all the right people. I'd made all the right relationships, said all the right things, and it was done. And I finally got to the guy who made the decision, and it wasn't the color of my tie. It was something that I said that I didn't even think about because I just say things. And it wasn't a criticism of him. It was just merely a fact.